Oi pessoal, tudo bem? Tô aqui estabelecendo a conexão com a Debbie. Vou esperar só mais um minutinho e aí a gente já vai começar. Houve aí um equívoco com o horário, né? A gente colocou. Vocês não conseguiram me ouvir? Manda aí um coraçãozinho se dá pra ouvir. Porque eu tô num horário e a Debbie tá em outro horário. E aí, na hora de fazer a conversão pro horário de Brasília, houve uma confusão. Então, na verdade, não era uma, era duas, tá bom? Mas acontece, né? São vários time zones diferentes, aí a gente às vezes acaba confundindo um pouquinho. Mas, enfim. Bom, hoje a gente vai fazer essa live com a Debbie. Ela é uma enfermeira da Nigéria. Nós nos conhecemos lá em Albuquerque, brevemente, e aí ela foi para Indiana. Então a gente vai aí saber um pouquinho. Vai ser uma live curta, assim, espero 30 minutos, 40 minutos, só pra gente ter um pouquinho da experiência dela lá em Indiana, né? Como é que foi. E aí vou poder abrir para vocês fazerem algumas perguntas e pra gente saber um pouquinho mais como é que é essas oportunidades lá de Indiana, né? Então eu vou chamar ela aqui. Vai ser em inglês e eu vou parando para traduzir, tá bom?
Hi,
Hi,
how are you?
I'm good. How are you? It's good to see
I'm
you
good.
again.
Good to see you. I'm trying to find better lighting. There we go.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear
Okay.
me?
Yes, good. I can hear you.
Great.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna stop every now and then to translate a little bit to the Brazilian
Sure,
as
I
well,
understand. Yeah.
and um, and then I'll ask you questions, and then we'll go from there. Okay, but
Okay.
we're so excited that you're here and
I'm
to have this
excited
chat.
too. It's okay. All
All right.
right.
So
Let's do
how's
this.
your baby?
We're in this together, eating nap. So I was like, you know what? We're gonna do it together.
Yeah, you're fine.
'Cause
You're fine.
I didn't want to reschedule. So
Yeah, thank you so much. And whatever
it's
you
fine.
need, if we need to cut it
It's fine.
short, it's no problem.
It's okay. It's fine. Yeah.
All right. Pessoal, então eu vou pedir para ela tá com o bebezinho dela, de 4 meses e super, super querida, não quis remarcar, então a gente vai ter aí um pouquinho de paciência e a gente super entende. Eu também tenho um bebê que está dormindo agora, mas, enfim, vou pedir para ela se apresentar e aí já vou começar com as perguntas e vou traduzindo aos poucos, tá bom? Okay, so you can introduce yourself to everyone, your name, where you're from, a little bit about your background, whatever you want to share.
Okay. All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Debbie. I'm a Nigerian. I'm a registered nurse and midwife from my home country. But as we all know, when we get to the US, we have to get licensed again. So when I came in 2019, I wrote the NCLEX in 2019 and I became a registered nurse in 2019. And since then, I've been working as a travel nurse. I would say it's been an experience. It's been a very wild ride. Um, I've worked in Albuquerque in New Mexico. I've worked in Indiana. I've worked in Muncie in Indiana, Newcastle in Indiana, and currently I'm working in Marietta in Georgia, United States. Well, I would say a little bit about me. I'm married. I have a little baby. I'm sorry, he's gonna have to join us on the interview today. He refused to nap.
No problem.
So, but it's been okay. I would say the way we practice nursing back in Nigeria is not really much different from the way it is practiced here because bottom line is safety for the patient, safety for you as the nurse. You know, So, but it's been okay. There's been challenges here and there, but it's not really, it's not something one can walk through, you know. So I'm available for any more questions. I will share as much
Yes.
as I can about my experience so far. And I hope we can all learn one thing or two before the whole exercise
Yes.
is over.
All right, let me translate a little bit of that to them.
Okay.
Então, o nome dela é Debbie, ela é uma enfermeira da Nigéria, ela chegou aqui em 2019. Na Nigéria, ela é enfermeira e midwife, que é como se fosse enfermeira obstetra lá. E aqui ela fez o NCLEX em 2019 e começou a trabalhar em 2019 com a Westways em Albuquerque, no Novo México. E depois ela foi para Indiana, trabalhou em 2 cidades diferentes lá, Muncie e Newcastle, e hoje ela está na Georgia. Então ela falou um pouquinho que a enfermagem, na visão dela, assim, é bem parecida com a experiência que ela tinha na Nigéria, no sentido de foco no, né, segurança do paciente, coisas do tipo. E, assim, teve, né, desafios que a gente pode conversar um pouco mais, mas que tem sido uma jornada interessante para ela. Então eu vou perguntar para ela agora um pouquinho sobre a experiência dela especificamente em Indiana, quais as facilities ela trabalhou, como que era a parte de enfermagem lá. All right. So, and you've been working with Westways since 2019 until
Yes.
today, right?
Yes, I'm still with
okay.
them.
Yeah. So how was your experience in Indiana? So you said you worked in Muncie and Newcastle. What kind of facility was it? Was it rehab? Was it nursing home? What kind of facility did you work in?
Okay, yeah. So from what I've learned, from what I heard, you told me we're going to focus mainly on Indiana. So I worked in Muncie in Indiana in a facility called AMG. It is actually a med-surg position and also a step-down position. Like, you know, when patients are coming from the ICU, but they can't go into the ward yet. So like the middle ground, or patients transitioning to the nursing homes from, you know, the hospital. So I worked in AMG for about like almost maybe 8 or 9 months, and then after that I worked in the Newcastle Correctional Facility in Newcastle, also in Indiana. But in Muncie, yeah, I stayed in Muncie all through my time in Indiana, over a year or so. Yeah, so it was basically, I would say it was a med-surg position, med-surg.
Med-surg. Oh, so it wasn't like, so in Albuquerque, remember the nursing homes, rehab. So it wasn't kind of like rehab. It was like a med-surg hospital, like a step down.
Yes, it was a med-surg hospital because, you know, when I was in Albuquerque, we were working in nursing homes. So, you know, sometimes you could have a nurse taking care of like 30 patients. So when I got to Indiana and I was working in the med-surg position, I was working with just maybe 4 patients, 5 patients. And I was like, oh, cool. Because I was so used to so much workload, you know, having to handle 30 patients. But then when I started working in med-surg, I was like, whoa, even the 5 patients is like 30 patients.
The acuity, right, the acuity level is a little higher, right?
It was higher. So now I understand why you can probably handle more than 5 or 6, you know, as a nurse on med-surg floor. Yeah.
Gotcha. Ok. Então, ela trabalhou em Muncie por uns 8 meses, mais ou menos, nesse AMG, que é um hospital. Então, ela trabalhava como se fosse na enfermaria médico-cirúrgica, né? Então, era um step down. Ela pegava pacientes que tinham tido uma internação no ICU, né? Num UTI. Então, ela tinha 4, 5 pacientes. Diferente das facilities lá de Albuquerque, que era, você viu ela falando, eram, né, nursing homes, onde você tinha 30 pacientes, muitos pacientes. Aqui, nesse med-surg, ela tinha 4, 5 pacientes, porém, o nível, né, de complexidade de cuidado era maior por isso. Então, e ela também trabalhou em Newcastle, numa correctional facility, que é centro de detenção, né, em presídio. Então, ela trabalhou em presídio lá também. Okay, so in AMG, right?
Yes.
So you had about 4 or 5 patients. It was kind of a med-surg ward. What would your shift look like? A lot of like medication, wound care, those kinds of things?
Okay, so usually the AMG is like a 20-bedded ward. So one patient in each room. And you, on a good day, we probably will have maybe a charge nurse on duty and maybe 3 or 4 nurses as well. The charge nurses are not assigned any patient, but the other nurses are assigned patients. So, the way it is, once you're an agency nurse, you're probably going to be given the largest number of patients. So if the main staff are given like 3 patients or 4 patients, you, the agency nurse, probably going to get 5 or 6, but it is what it is. So you just have to take it like that. And they try to be fair though when they distribute the patients, so they don't give you too much high demand patients like that. They try to be fair, but sometimes you get really difficult patients. You just have to work it out.
Yeah. Let me translate that. Ela tá
Okay.
falando que ela tinha, né, geralmente tinha um charge nurse, só que o charge nurse fica na gerência, né, não pega os pacientes, e tinha mais ou menos 3, 4 enfermeiros que dividiam o dimensionamento dos pacientes. Cada um fica com aproximadamente 4, 5 pacientes. Ela falou, eu, por ser enfermeira de agência, muitas vezes pegava o pior assignment, né? Ficava com 5 pacientes, mas tudo bem. Okay, go on.
Okay. Can I go on?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So once you come in like that on the shift, you take your report. I was working night shift. So I initially started as day shift, but I later moved to night shift. So what happens is that when you come on the shift, you get your report from the person handling the patients that has been assigned to you. And you go to each of the rooms, you introduce yourself, you let the patient know, I'm going to be taking care of you for the next 12 or so hours. You have to be sure that the patient you're receiving is alive. So you have to, kind of ascertain the alertness of the patient before you take over the patient. Because once you take over the patient, everything else is on you. So you have to be sure you see the patient that is being handed over to you. You ask every question. You make sure he's alive. The patient might be in bed sleeping, or the eyes are closed, but you have to try and wake the patient up or make sure the patient is still breathing. Hello, miss. How are you this morning? How are you doing? Do you need anything? Are you in pain? Then after you've taken over all your patients, and then you have to go into the chart and see what you have to do. So let me let you.
Yeah. Então ela tá falando que ela chegava, ela estava no plantão diurno, mas depois ela foi pro plantão da noite. E aí ela chega, pega o plantão, né? Pega o assignment dela e faz os rounds, né? Ela vai nos quartos dos pacientes para fazer essa introdução, né? De se apresentar ao paciente. Eu sou a enfermeira que vou cuidar de você pelas próximas horas. E fazer o assessment dela ali do paciente. É importante, né, fazer. Muitas vezes o paciente estava dormindo, acordar ele para. Como são pacientes que tem ali, já acabaram de vir de uma UTI, por exemplo, precisa verificar a questão de consciousness, né, se o paciente está alerta, se o paciente está acordado, se ele está no estado, se ele está vivo, né, porque se você acabou de pegar o plantão e tem alguma coisa acontecendo ali com o paciente, a partir dali, ele é a sua responsabilidade. Então, é importante ter esse nursing assessment, né, essa visita da enfermeira para certificar que está tudo ok com o paciente nessa hora da passagem de plantão. Okay. So then, yeah, once you visited all your patients and did your rounds, did you use a computer system kind of like PCC, what we had in
Oh no, well, when I was there, they actually started with paper charting. It was very hard for me because I'd gotten used to computers, and then I get to the hospital and I'm asked to start writing all over again. It's like I forgot how to write. So, but I think before I left, they ended up having an EHR, like a med system, but it wasn't PCC. I think PCC is just used with Genesis facilities. That's all. I think that's, yeah. All of that facilities I've worked with, I haven't seen PCC anywhere else.
Oh yeah.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't
So
anywhere
they
else.
use paper charting, and then
And then
so
they later moved on to
computer charting.
a computer, yes.
Okay.
So what we usually just do is after you've taken over your patients, you go into the charts and figure out, okay, what do I have to do now? Do they have any meds due? Do they have any IVs due? Do you have to do any wound care? Just kind of map out your day so you can make use of your time. Because you might think you just have 4 patients, 5 patients, but it's actually a lot of work, especially when most of them are bedridden. You have to do everything for them. And some of the times you might not have a CNA on duty to help you. So you have to do everything yourself. So, and most of them are usually maybe on tube feedings, IVs, catheters, PICC lines. You have to make sure all those things are working fine and everything is started or stopped as it should be done. And then you also have to turn these patients, because AMG has a policy where every 2 hours you must turn your patient, because this is to like avoid any predators. Let me let you translate.
Ok. Então, ela tá falando que no começo o charting, né, a parte de anotação, de evolução, era tudo por escrito mesmo. Eles não estavam com computer charting. Aí passou para o eletrônico, né? Aí quando ela estava já trabalhando lá, passou a ser eletrônico, mas eu tinha perguntado se era o mesmo sistema que a gente usava lá em Albuquerque, só que ela falou que não, era outro sistema. Aí ela falou que em relação aos pacientes, né, os tipos de cuidado que nos charts dos pacientes já tinham, quais eram os cuidados que eles iam precisar. No início ela se apresentou, falou que ela é casada, tem um filho e que ele ia participar um pouquinho com a gente, que ele não quis fazer soneca. So we understand. He didn't want to go for his nap, right? It's all right. E tenho como são pacientes acamados, né? Ver quais medicações eles precisam, se eles estão se eles estão com medicação, se eles estão com alimentação enteral, né? Se eles estão com alguma ostomia. São pacientes acamados, então tem uma política de troca, de mudança de decúbito, né? Basicamente falando o que ela, olhando o chart do paciente, o que precisava ser feito. Mas nada que foge do nosso conhecimento de enfermagem do Brasil também, né? Okay, so those were 12-hour shifts in AMG, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then you went to work in a correctional facility, right? How was that experience for you?
Oh, wow. That was a whole new I never actually thought I would work in a prison, but man. Yeah. But okay, that was during the peak of the COVID last year. So actually what happened is that I probably would have continued in AMG, but they employed their own staff. They got new nurses. So they asked all agency nurses to leave. They kind of ended all our contracts. But I think after 2 months, they called us back because the nurses all left again. But by then, I started working elsewhere, so I didn't go back there. Okay, working in correctional facility, well, I would say it's a combination of psychiatric, med-surg, step-down, what else again? Transitional, everything. You see everything there. And I was basically working in the infirmary where the really sick inmates are put in. So usually there's an on-site doctor, there are nurses there. You just go in, do your work, and then you leave. You are told as much as possible not to engage, so you don't have any relationship with them, because you don't want anything to jeopardize your safety as well as a health professional.
Right.
But it was okay working there, I would say. I had no issues working there. It was fine, You just have to watch your back. But every time you have to attend to anyone, there's always an officer with you, in case anyone decides to act funny.
Okay. Então, ela tá falando um pouquinho da experiência dela na prisão em Indiana. Ela contou uma mistura de enfermaria, né, psych, que é saúde mental, você vê um pouco de um monte de coisa. E tem médico que trabalha lá também, e ela ficava na... Primeiro ela falou em relação a essa facility, né, chama Correctional Facility, uma unidade de correção, né, uma prisão. Eles acabaram com os contratos com a agência, mas aí por conta do Covid e tudo mais, precisaram de enfermeiras de novo, porque o staff deles tinha pedido demissão, então elas voltaram para lá. E é uma mistura, né, em tudo, tem médico e sempre tomar cuidado. Uma das regras é você não ter contato, assim, de ficar conversando com os detentos lá, né, por uma questão de segurança mesmo. Mas sempre que ela ia com os pacientes, né, que são os detentos lá, tem sempre um guarda também. E ela ficava na parte de enfermaria com os inmates que estavam com uma situação pior, assim, de saúde. So basically there in that ward, you would give their medication if they needed insulin or things like that, wound care, things like that, basically.
Yes, exactly. Everything else, it's just like a regular hospital. It's just that they're just inmates, and they
have to be more careful.
You have to be more careful. You have to watch your back. You have to make sure you don't, strike up. Of course, you still have to do your nursing duties, ask how they're doing and all of that. But you don't want to be too, I don't know how to put it, but before anything is construed as being too personal with them, because when you start getting too personal, they might think you might start bringing things in for them. We're not allowed to even use our phones in there.
Oh, really?
No, I can't take my phone in there. So, and you don't take anything in. No metal goes in with you. Nothing goes in with you. Just your badge. That's it. And your brain.
Ela tá falando que não pode nem entrar com o celular lá. Assim, ela falou, é claro que você vai ter a interação de enfermeira para paciente, mas tem que tomar cuidado para não ser muito pessoal, porque eles começam a achar que tem confiança e um problema é, né, começar a pedir para você trazer coisa. Então, não pode entrar com celular, com metal, com nada lá. Então, você tem que limitar a sua interação realmente estritamente ali de enfermeira para paciente, não ter tanta interação extra assim, né? Mas basicamente é como se uma enfermaria hospitalar. Você está ali cuidando, prestando, né, o serviço, dando medicação, insulina, curativo, enfim, que eles precisam ali. All right, so really cool knowing a little bit about. I've never worked in a correctional facility, so that's
it's an experience, right?
It's an experience, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's different. I thought that the facility that you worked in was kind of like a nursing home, but now I get it. It was more like kind of like a med-surg ward.
No, it's med-surg. Yeah, AMG, right? Is it AMG?
Right, AMG.
Yeah,
okay.
It's a med-surg floor. It's not a nursing home. No.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So now moving on to a little bit of your experience just living in Indiana. What did you think about the city? What was your overall experience there?
Okay, well, like I mentioned earlier, I stayed in Muncie. Muncie is like a suburb. It's like 1 hour drive from Indianapolis. So, Muncie is like a small town, but at the same time, it's not so small. It's the kind of place where you would want to raise a family, very quiet, very serene. Things are cheaper,
Okay. The cost of living wise, that's one of the questions that somebody had was cost of living.
Yes.
In Muncie.
Cost of living is very, very affordable, very affordable. You could get like 2-3 bedroom apartment for under $700, $800. So it was quite affordable, but one of the things is that sometimes if you don't have a car, it might be hard for you to get an Uber.
Oh, really? How is it smaller than Albuquerque?
No. Yes, it is. It is small.
Okay.
Albuquerque is quite big, you know.
Right, yeah.
It's quite big. Muncie is smaller.
Yeah. Oh wait, let me grab something real quick.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so let me translate that part. Ela falou que, bom, ela ficou em Muncie o tempo todo. É uma cidade pequena, menor que Albuquerque, meio de interior, bem tranquila, serena, uma cidade legal para criar uma família. Fica 1 hora de distância de Indianápolis, que é a capital, e tem um custo de vida bem baixo. All right, so basically, small town vibe, right? Kind of like countryside vibe.
Yes, exactly.
And small city, good cost of living. Is it even cheaper than Albuquerque, you would say, cost of living? Or same? Similar?
I think it would be cheaper than Albuquerque. It would be cheaper, yeah.
Okay.
I'm so sorry.
No problem. It's okay. We got some babies. Speaking of, you didn't have him in Indiana, right? So you wouldn't know anything about schools or anything like that.
No.
Okay.
I had him when I came to Georgia. I just came to Georgia in August last year. I actually had to leave the facility I was working because I was almost due. So I had to leave and come to Georgia to have him. So he's just 4 months old. So I don't have any experience about childcare, about schooling for kids in
That was
Muncie.
one of the questions about school. Did you hear anything, or do you have friends who had kids in school, if they know anything about schooling there?
Yeah, I think, well, I usually see school buses going around, and I think, you know, it's not like it's not like it's a village or like it's actually quite big, but it's just compared to some cities around, you know, I would say it's small, but they have a good school system. From the little I know, they have a good school system. They have good road networks. They have childcare. They have quite a lot of big outlets there, you know, big stores. You know,
Okay. Yeah.
everything is there. Everything is there. It's just on a smaller scale, I would say.
Okay. So things to do for fun and everything. You have a little bit of
yes, we have
entertainment.
parks there. We have parks there. We have what else? You know, I was always working.
Yeah.
But I know that there are places where you can take kids to for fun and all of that. Yeah, so it's not a bad place to stay. I actually loved staying there. I really did. Yeah, I did.
Translate that. Então, ela falou que, bom, ela teve o bebê dela já em Georgia, onde ela está hoje. Ela não sabe como é que são as escolas lá, não tinha filho em idade escolar, mas pelo que ela sabe, sim, tem escolas boas, pelo que ela ouvia falar. E apesar de ser uma cidade pequena, tinha coisas para fazer, né? Lojas, parques, coisas do tipo, só numa escala menor, né? Uma escala de cidade pequena. Okay, I'm gonna see if we have questions here.
Okay, all right.
Let's see what kind of questions that we have. So it's asking about hospital nurse. We talked about the fact that she worked. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. One of the questions was about nursing homes, but you worked in the hospital. Então, a primeira pergunta, só tem hospital ou tem nursing home? Então, ela trabalhou num hospital, numa clínica médico-cirúrgica. Como foi a recepção do trabalho? Okay, so they're asking, how was your kind of like your welcoming or your reception in at work? How was your adaptation, your transition to work in India?
Okay, yeah, because I was coming from, well, I would say I actually liked it because, you know, when I first started as the travel nurse, I started in nursing home. So it was like, you know, I started from I would say from the lowest part of practicing, you kind of, then after that I went to med surge. Then after med surge, I can work in ICU now if I want to work in ICU, because all this knowledge kind of builds you up as you go, and experience really matters too, because you don't just want to jump into a high acuity care and you don't have any knowledge of it. So it was quite easy to adapt. And one thing I prayed about too, because I talk to God a lot, that when you're on the floor, you want to pray that you have people to help you, because whenever I want to start my work, I put everything in the hands of God. That God, I don't want to kill anyone today, and please help me to have helpers that can show me what to do if I get stuck. So if you have a good team that is willing to help you, then you can ask questions and make sure you know what you're doing. Or sometimes if I don't know what I have to do, I go into YouTube immediately. I just go hide somewhere. I go into YouTube, look at a procedure online, and then I try to replicate that. Or I get someone to show me. Or if you have a good charge nurse, then they can show you, and then.
So you felt like you had a good transition from Albuquerque to... Okay.
Yes, I did.
Uma boa transição de uma recepção lá, ela já tinha experiência em nursing home, então como ela considerou que ela começou no nível mais baixo de complexidade, de cuidado, e foi ela sentiria que ela poderia trabalhar em terapia intensiva, se ela quisesse, ela sentiu que essa experiência ajudou ela a chegar lá com mais conhecimento, e teve uma boa recepção. Ela disse que, às vezes, né, quando tem uma boa charge nurse, ela pedia ajuda, ou para os colegas pedia ajuda, ou quando não tinha, olhava no YouTube mesmo para ver algum procedimento, alguma coisa que ela não conhecia. Então, ela foi se adaptando, mas ela acha que foi uma adaptação ok. Uma pergunta sobre custo de vida, casa, alimentação. Ela falou que o custo de vida é bom, eu vou perguntar de novo sobre escola. Ela não sabe sobre as escolas, assim, pessoalmente. Ela teve só de ouvir falar, né, que são escolas boas. Sofreu algum tipo de...
Yeah, sorry. Sorry, I remembered something, that's why, but let you finish. Let me just put him down briefly.
Okay.
Let me let you finish.
All right. E aí alguém perguntou aqui, sofreu algum tipo de acho que escreveram errado, por ser enfermeira internacional. Bom, sofreu alguma discriminação, alguma coisa ruim por ser enfermeira internacional. Vamos lá. Did you ever feel in Indiana or anywhere else in your experience anything kind of because of being an international nurse, and I'm an international nurse myself too, so I guess they're asking about your experience. Anything setting you apart just because you're international, or any backlash like that for being an international nurse?
Well, I think the backlash we usually receive is not because I'm international, but because I am agency.
It really, because of being agency, you think so?
Yeah, because they don't, because I understand their perspective as well, because they see you coming, we're all doing the same thing, and then they feel like because you're earning more, then you should get to do everything. And if you ask them for help, they're not willing to help. I think that's the major backlash I usually receive at work, because they don't want to help you, and they feel like it's not like you're not, like, you get this vibe of you're not one of us.
Oh, I see.
You're not one of us. So they try to look for faults in everything you do. They might try to even report you sometimes to the charge or to the unit manager that they don't know what they're doing and they're handing so much, And then coupled with the fact that another backlash I receive, coupled with the fact that I'm from Africa. And then I'm like, she's coming in here from somewhere else. and then she's earning so much. I'm not helping her. So that's one of the problems I usually encounter at work. And I'm used to it. I just, whatever.
You're great, girl. Yeah, your thing.
As long as just know what you're doing, and your work will speak for itself. So
Exactly.
I just try to not get myself involved in all the workplace politics that might be going on. I'm just there to work, and once I get everything done, my patient is safe, I get out of that.
Ela falou que ela sentiu um pouco de coisas negativas em relação a ser uma enfermeira de agência, porque às vezes na facility eles têm a impressão, tipo assim, enfermeira de agência, ainda mais ela que estava como travel nurse lá, tá ganhando mais, eles têm que fazer tudo sozinho, não vou ajudar. Então ela sentiu um pouco dessa hostilidade, às vezes, por ser de agência, e eles esperarem que ela fizesse tudo sozinha, ou enfim, mais do que os outros. E também por não fazer parte do time, né? Assim, você não é funcionário daquele hospital. Então, isso varia muito, tá, gente? De facility para facility. Então, tem lugares que estão tão acostumados com a agência que você vira um deles também, enfim. Então, isso é bem pessoal a experiência, mas é a experiência dela que é super válida a gente compartilhar aqui. E ela falou também em relação a ser uma enfermeira da África, né? De que isso às vezes causa um pouco de negatividade para ela. Mas que ela entende que se ela tá ali, ela tem que fazer o dela, ela tem que fazer um bom trabalho, e se o paciente dela tá bem cuidado, ela tá fazendo um bom trabalho, ela deixa o trabalho dela falar por si só, né? All right, let's see another question. Ok, so agency, ela quer dizer uma enfermeira de agência. Okay. Sim. Agency, que ela tá querendo dizer aqui, sim, ela é, porque a agência que ela trabalha, né, que é a Westways, ela traz enfermeiros internacionais e também é de travel nurse, né, então de ser agência como um todo, sim. Acho que é isso. What does it mean, PIU Registered Nurse? Eu não sei se ela falou sobre isso. Ok. E a questão do custo de vida, aluguel de casa, alimentação. Ok. Did you have, so in Muncie, we already talked about cost of living. Do you feel like rent was about the same price as Albuquerque? Just so we can have a feeling.
I think rent was lower in Muncie.
Okay.
In Muncie, yeah. In Muncie, rent was lower. Yeah. So, and rent is low. Even food is cheap. Rent is low. For utilities. Where I'm now, I'm paying double. Where I was staying, we weren't paying for water. We weren't paying for water. We weren't paying for sewage. I was just paying for my electricity and cable and my rent. So, and a lot of them are like that, some utilities are free, So, but I would say things are generally cheaper there. The cost of living is really low, and it's still up to standard, So I really enjoyed the place. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I'm paying more now.
In Georgia, huh?
Yes.
Até um pouco mais barato do que lá em Albuquerque. E comida também, que é um custo de vida bem bom, que ela gostava muito de morar lá. Ok. I think that's all the questions that we had.
What I was going to say was, I'm sorry, hold on, please.
It's all right.
When I was in AMG, like I mentioned, sometimes the CNAs won't come to work, and then you have to do everything yourself.
Okay.
Some of these patients, I'm sorry to say, some of them are on the big side, so you'd have to turn them every 2 hours. So I ended up having some back problems.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
And I was like, I'm too young to have back problems.
Yeah.
Because you have to lift and turn, lift and turn. It's actually a good practice. You know, you don't have to deal with pressure sores, but it's just something you might want to maybe try to guard against, you know, good posture, you know, let your back be straight, just be strong, wear comfortable shoes, you know, because even when the CNAs are there, you still have to help them, you know. So med surg, I would say, is generally harder, you know, it's harder, but you can do it.
Ela falando que ela sentiu que foi difícil porque a parte de MedSurg até às vezes um pouco mais difícil do que lá em Albuquerque, porque às vezes não tinha, eles tinham um problema de staffing, CNAs, auxiliares, né, de enfermagem, muitas vezes não tinha. Então você fica sozinho, assume o paciente sozinha. E mesmo quando tem CNAs, às vezes eram poucos e todo mundo tem que se ajudar. E aí você acaba assumindo o paciente sozinho, muitas vezes são pacientes pesados, que aí você tem que fazer a mudança de decúbito, né? De 2 em 2 horas sozinha. Ela falou, acabei tendo alguns problemas na coluna, e eu pensei isso muito jovem para ter problemas na coluna. Então você tem que usar sapato confortável, prestar atenção na sua postura, né? Para você evitar problemas assim. All right, so I think that's it. We appreciate you just sharing with us a little bit about your experience.
Yes, fine. This was
about
okay.
Indiana and everything. It's really cool. So I will let everyone know if they have any other questions about it, they can send them to me privately and I'll send over to you.
Okay, all right.
And so yeah, thank you so much for being
You're
here with
welcome.
us.
So I'm always, anytime you want me back, I'm always, just let me know. I'll figure it out. Thank you for having me. Thank you. I'm sorry about my baby. I'm sorry.
No problem. You're fine, girl.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye. Six.
Então, pessoal, só finalizando aqui, eu agradeci ela, né? Ela pediu desculpas pelo filho dela, mas a gente super entende. E, bom, eu achei bem legal a experiência dela, né, de Indiana, questões particulares dela mesmo. E, bom, se vocês tiverem mais perguntas, podem deixar. Eu vou deixar a live gravada assim. Pode depois mandar no privado, que eu converso com ela, né, e pego prints, enfim, para deixar vocês cientes, tá? Mas basicamente essa foi a experiência da Deb e é isso. Obrigada por quem participou. Vou deixar ela salva assim, tá bom? Tchau, tchau.